Hey friends, Gary here. Welcome to today's video. So I got plenty of questions from my friends and also from some viewers of my videos about how to get good results using wide-angle lenses. At first I thought, well, wide angle isn't difficult, isn't it? Like we use wide angle frequently. However, that's not the case. I just happened to start photography with wide angle lens right away. When I was still using my Canon DSLR, I was using the Tokina 12 to 24mm lens. That's a wide angle lens, so I got used to wide angle lens. But not everyone is like that, and I realized that actually many people are struggling on how to get nice composition and good result using a wide angle lens. So in today's video, I will share some tips and tricks on how to level up your wide angle game. Just for a little bit of a context, I'm a micro four thirds shooter, so all of the wide angle gear that I will mention will be micro four thirds related, but feel free to use whatever you want. It doesn't have to be micro four thirds. Today we're talking about wide angle, and in micro four thirds term, that is anything below 12mm. In full frame terms, that's anything below 24mm. Let's start with the first tip. First tip is to use foreground. Foreground or a lack of foreground can be extremely important for your wide angle composition. Without a good foreground, a wide angle composition can sometimes feel hollow, empty, or even cluttered. A nice balanced foreground can perform as an anchor point for the eye of the viewer to rest on, and also providing a point of interest for the image so that the composition will become stronger. A couple of things that you can do in terms of foreground: you can use static objects such as rock that looks kind of interesting but not too cluttered, maybe a couple of flowers or other static objects. Not only this will provide a point of interest on your image, it will also balance the whole composition, again removing that hollowness, that emptiness that I mentioned before, and also to provide a little bit of a storytelling element. Another thing that you can do, instead of using static objects, you can use leading lines, something that will draw the eye into the center of the image where you want all the attention to be. You know, with the leading lines, you can provide a little bit of a sense of journey, direction, moving from the edges of the frame to the center of the image. People will like that. However, sometimes having a foreground can mess up with the harmony of the image. Sometimes it can make things feel too cluttered, especially if the foreground is too strong and it's not intentional. For example, if we're shooting cityscape or panoramic kind of scenery, especially with aspect ratios that are extreme, for example 21:9 or something like that, something that is really squished down, then having a foreground can disturb again the harmony of the image, and it can become a clutter, because with this kind of images sometimes less is more. You just want the main object to fill the frame. So regarding foreground, I think it is best for you to experiment, try different stuffs and see what works for you. Again, there's no right or wrong. It's all about personal taste and preferences. So try some different kinds of foreground and also try removing the foreground completely and see what works for you. Now that we covered foreground, and assuming that you already find a nice, beautiful foreground that works harmoniously with your image, the next step is to get close. Well, I know this kind of sounds weird, but wide angle lens is kind of unique. It draws things that are near to you, it pulls it closer to you, and it pushes things that are far away from you. So what that means is that your foreground will become closer to you, and your background will be pushed even further away. It will become smaller in the image. So this is quite the opposite of using a telephoto lens. If you're using a telephoto lens, usually the foreground will kind of stay the same. That's depending on your style of shooting. But the background will get closer to you. It will look exaggerated and big, and it is almost kind of slammed into the object, into the main point of interest of the image. So yeah, keep that in mind. And my advice, again, if you already find a nice foreground for you, get close to it. If you feel you are already close, still try to get even closer, as close as possible. You'll get a more dramatic and interesting result by being able to get close, and I promise you, you will like the result. Next tip is to experiment with angle. Sometimes you want to shoot very low, close to the ground, but sometimes you also want to raise your camera as high as you can away from the ground. What that does is that you will actually control the ratio of background versus foreground. Usually, when you lower the camera, you will introduce more foreground into the image. This is especially beneficial if the foreground, again, is harmonious, if the foreground works well with the image. But sometimes if the foreground is too overpowering, you want to reduce it a little bit and introduce more of the background, and sometimes by introducing a little bit of mid layer as well. So what you want to do is to raise your camera. So yeah, my point is experiment, try to see what works best. Again, the goal here is to try to find the perfect balance between foreground and background, and sometimes mid layer as well, until it kind of works and it looks best for you. Next tip is to have fun. Ultimately, all of the tips that I just mentioned are just guides. They are not hard set rules. You don't have to follow them, and feel free to experiment and do the opposite of what I just said. The point is, sometimes it is important for us to have fun with photography. Try to see what works for you, try to see what makes you laugh, try to see what makes you happy. So I think wide angle is the perfect platform for us to do experiments, to run a little bit of tests and see what works for our composition. And ultimately, you want to try to find a style that resonates with you. Now, before I end this video, in the beginning I mentioned that I shoot with Micro Four Thirds camera system, so I wanna share my favorite wide-angle lenses for Micro Four Thirds camera system. If you are using other camera system, don't worry. Again, I mentioned before that you don't have to use Micro Four Thirds, but I just wanna introduce these lenses because I think they are cool. Right now, my current favorite ultra wide angle lens for Micro Four Thirds is this guy right here, the Panasonic Leica 9mm f1.7. This is such a perfect wide angle lens. 9mm is plenty wide enough. It has large f1.7 aperture. It is kind of weather sealed. I'm not really sure about the weather sealing, but the website mentions that it is weather sealed, so really nice to shoot. It has filter thread 55mm if I'm not mistaken, and I'm using a filtered adapter, step up ring 55 to 67, so that I can use ND filters and circular polarizer, things like that. My favorite wide angle lens so far. I just love it so much. And then if you want a little bit of versatility, I could recommend this lens. This is the Panasonic Leica 8 to 18mm f2.8 to f4. So this is a zoom lens, and that's why it is very versatile. 8mm, plenty wide for most of our needs. You can zoom it in all the way to 18mm. That's kind of normal wide, a little bit tighter, you know, very similar to 35mm in full frame. So yeah, if you're looking for versatility, I can recommend the 8 to 18. And before these lenses, I used this guy right here. This is the Laowa 7.5mm f2. It has large aperture. It is manual focus only lens, and that's the only drawback. It is sharp, it is contrasty. Again, the large f2 aperture can help with lower light photography. Astrophotography even works well with this guy. And then recently, if I don't really need to shoot wide angle, but I wanna carry a lens just in case there's a wide angle composition to be captured, then I will bring this guy. This is the 7 Artisans 10mm f3.5. Very small, very lightweight. Again, manual focus only, but that's not really a problem with wide angle lens, especially with micro four thirds. Ultimately, I just wanna mention that gear doesn't matter. If you already have a wide angle lens, then use what you already have. If you don't have a wide angle lens already, if you end up shooting wider frequently, more than usual, then maybe it's time for you to get a wide angle lens. But if you don't shoot at the wider end of your focal length options, then maybe wait for a little bit. Maybe it's not time for you to get a wide angle lens just yet, but hopefully this video explains a little bit about the philosophy, tips and tricks of shooting wide angle. If you want to learn more about wide angle photography and also travel photography in general, I just published in my Patreon Simplifying Travel Photography video. It's a full travel photography video course tutorial that I made. It's about 1 hour and 40 something minute long. I shot it in Iceland and also here in Indonesia, where I explained all that I know, all of my expertise, experience doing travel photography for more than 10 years. And I think you will learn so much, not only about wide angle, but about photography in general and also travel photography. So you might want to go to this Patreon link right here. You can purchase that video one time, or you can also be a supporter of my channel by becoming a member of my Patreon. And by becoming a member of my Patreon, you will be able to get a full access to that travel photography tutorial video. But anyway, enough about me. What about you? What is your favorite wide angle lens, and also some tips and tricks about using wide angle that you want to share with us? Please comment down below. I'd love to learn from you. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Hopefully this has been interesting, entertaining, and also informative and inspiring as well. Don't forget to support my channel by liking this video, sharing this video, subscribing to my channel down below. If you want to support my work even further, again, consider joining my Patreon. Again, I will put the link right here. Become a paid supporter of my channel. Or maybe you can also use the affiliate links down below. They will provide you with some discounts for some select products and services, and I will get a little bit of a kickback to keep this channel running. Or maybe use the super thanks button down below to make a small donation to my channel. Thank you very much, and I will see you guys on the next video. Goodbye.